You are now tuning into the Live Life Podcast with the one and only Jose Argueta.
Gotta live life, no pause or rewind. Big dreams on the mind where we grind. From the sunrise to the moon shines, I'ma get my peace in due time. All this was done by design, focused on seeing the signs. This moment is mine, the limit's the sky. The minute I get me the moment, I'm showing them all that I'm out to live life. It's your time right now. This is the moment you've been waiting for, so say it loud. I love my life. I love my life. And that's just how I feel, no matter where I ever go. All I know is that I'm out to live life.
You too can have a lot of fun with Obsidian headphones.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode. And as always, I'm excited because we have another sponsor. And if you guys haven't noticed, I mean, come on, it's pretty much obvious, right? I have a new pair of headset on my shiny bald-headed, and I'm excited, you know. Our new sponsor is Obsidian from LA, and obviously it comes from a special place, and they're doing great things. So I'm excited that we're going to do this collaboration together. And dude, not only that, but also it's being sponsored by Amor de Café, a local coffee shop located in Gonzales, California. So if you commute from South County, which consists of King City, Greenfield, Soledad, to Salinas, to the Bay Area, stop by, shop local, get your coffee, let them know that Live Life Podcast sent you. So yes, I'm excited today. Now I want to make the switch because I just don't hear anything on my head. Yeah, no. Man, I'm excited today. There you go. I can hear myself now. I'm excited today. But before I start this episode, dude, I just want to let you know that I'm grateful for taking the time to be here with us today, for making the drive here. You know, it means a lot, and it's just for me, it's like another step, you know, in my podcast. You know what I mean? I started a year ago, and I've just been growing, and I just feel blessed that you're here with your team. Not only that, I want to congratulate thank my producer, Luis, for making this happen. You know, if it wasn't for him, you know, obviously you wouldn't be here. And also, you know, we got to kick it yesterday. We got to hang out, see the behind the scenes of the Grandmaster Juan Avila take the photos of you, you know, and also seeing your manager telling you, hey, move this way, that way. We saw La Patrona in full effect. She was boxing everybody, bro. You know? So that was awesome. And
that's windy for you, man.
Yeah, she's right there looking at us right now.
That's why they call her Speedy. She's all over the place.
You know, it's like I was telling her earlier, dude. I love seeing that because this is the second time I see that. You know, someone that is looking out for the benefit of their clients. Yeah. And I saw it a couple of weeks ago with a guest that we had. He's a producer. Yeah. Shout out to Manny ECAS Production, and he was telling this young artist like, "Hey, I need you to do this because you want the audience to see, you know." And the fact that you have somebody like that she's on your corner and telling you like, turn around this way, move your head that way, you know what I mean?
No, she's always making sure everything's on point, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And I like seeing that because, you know, there's genuine people behind it. You know, they wanna make sure your future and where you at, you're gonna be taken care of. You know, exactly. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart being here, dude. I really appreciate it. And before I start with my introduction,
anytime, man.
No, thank you, dude. Before I start my introduction, I'm going to give you a gift. I have a gift for you, dude. I always have a gift for my guests, but I have some delicious beef jerky from Hoax Beef Jerky. Yeah. And I also have a little coffee mug right there. Oh. Special edition coffee mug. So you can keep your coffee ready in the morning or your tequila, your whiskey. Ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
This is gonna be dope, man. On the way home, man, we're gonna tear it up, bro.
Oh, dude, I hope
we're not even gonna get out of Salinas before this thing is gone.
I know you guys are gonna enjoy it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys.
No. Thank you. So, without any further ado, I have this introduction for you. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, man. So today's guest is someone you definitely seen and heard before. We're joined by Anthony Citric Campos, actor, comedian, musician, and a proud product of Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles. You might know him as Manolo from George Lopez, driver and right-hand man on the TV Land series, Lopez. He also played the Secretary of Defense in the cult classic Idiocracy. Man, that movie is classic. A movie that's only gotten more popular over time, especially right now. Anthony appeared in the film Harsh Times as well, acting alongside Christian Bale, showing a different side of his acting range. Most recently, he brings both his voice and likeness to the character of Emilio in Hulu's revival, King of the Hill, which is, I love that show. I used to watch it back in the day. Beyond acting, Anthony has deep roots in music, is a father, and continues to represent East LA in everything he does. Welcome, Anthony, to the Live Life Podcast.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the invite.
Man, I'm just excited that I'm pumped. Honestly, I couldn't sleep last night. I was just tossing and turning. And my wife's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, dude, I just I can't wait for tomorrow. I just can't wait. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So here we are, man.
Man.
So you were born on Boyle Heights, East LA, right? Now, when everybody hears East LA, they hear like, okay, East LA is a tough area, Like it must be tough growing up. Talk to us a little bit. How was it growing up on that time, like on East LA on Boyle?
Like when I grew up, because I was born in '68, so I grew up in the '70s roughly, and then transitioned into the '80s. The '80s was really bad, because it was just gang infested everywhere, It was gangs on every corner. The '70s wasn't too bad as we were youngsters. There was a couple gangs, obviously, already here and there, but it wasn't infested as it was, in the '80s. But the '70s was cool, man. We didn't know any different, because that's all we knew was the neighborhood right there in East LA, so growing up. So we really never got out, so I really didn't know what anything else was until later on in life, started traveling and seeing the world, and seeing stuff. So and then you see like, damn, it's a whole other world, man, outside of LA, man. So, but the '70s, it was great, man. It's just when we got to the '80s, like I said, that's where things got a little rough and people were getting pressure to get into gangs or get into doing dumb stuff, man, and you just get caught up, and it's one of those things.
It's crazy, dude, you say that because I'm from 831. It's a small town compared to LA, right?
Yeah.
And I know LA, it's has different cities everywhere within one, but for me, when I grew up on the east side Salinas, I don't think it compares to growing up on east side LA, somewhere that's bigger than here. Obviously, like you mentioned, gangs and all that stuff. Growing up, it was not pushed, but we were around it too as well. I was around it too, But what was it? Did you get involved growing up on that, or you just stayed away from it, or they never caught your attention, or?
I mean, I got caught up with it at some point,
Yeah.
Back in the late '70s, in the early '80s, and but one of the things that kind of kept me away from it for a minute, which I did get back into it later on, but it was I got into a fight one time. This is like in the late '70s. I was maybe like 13 already, 14. Mm-hmm. I got into a fight. No, it was like maybe like I want to say 12 because. Yeah, I was like maybe like about 12, going 13, and the other kid, pulled out a little pocket knife, whatever. He's kind of stuck me a little bit, but didn't really get me that way, but he did a little bit, So one day I was walking around the house with no shirt, and my mom saw that and right away my mom knew, she knew what the fuck a stab wound looks like,
Yeah.
So she got all paniqueada out, and next thing you know, I'm in Mexico. She sent me to Mexico.
Oh, damn! She said. Dude.
Yeah, it's a typical story, man.
Yeah, that happened to my primo, dude. Yeah. He andaba de canijo, and he got in a fight. My tia's like, oh, go to Mexico, dude.
Yeah. And so it's like I ended up over there for 3 years, and at first I kind of resented her for a long time, man. It's like I was kind of mad at her for a minute, and I was over there, like I said, I was over for 3 years, came back, and now I'm back here in the States, and I'm already like 16, so I don't know what to do with my life, so I'm just partying and I got to start getting more with the gang culture because I wasn't going to school because when I got to Mexico, I was behind. When I came back from Mexico, now I was ahead because the schooling system in Mexico is a lot more. You're more advanced.
Yeah.
So when I got over to Mexico, they didn't know what to do with me either, but so they put me like a year or two behind, Yeah. And then when I got here, now they didn't know what to do with me, and I was already supposed to be a senior,
Yeah.
Ready to graduate. And they didn't know what to do with me here either, though. So I was getting into trouble in school, and I would get into one school, and then they get kicked out of there, and then transfer to another one, and like and like that. And it was just it was just chaos. So I just at the end, I ended up going to Boyle Heights Continuation School. And then after that, I just got tired of it. You know, I said, school ain't for me, man. So I'm out, you know? Yeah. And I just started getting, you know, like, you just get into trouble, doing dumb stuff on the streets and in the neighborhood, you know, getting caught up with the neighborhood gang, you know? And then, you know, but eventually I knew something, you know, I always knew there was something bigger on the other side, you know, that I wanted to do. You know, I knew that I didn't want to just be doing what I'm doing with these fools, you know? And so little by little, man, you know, little by little, I just kind of like just stepped away, man. You know, it's one of those, you just kind of just leave
start pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, and then you start, you know, meeting other people and hanging around, you know, and I started getting into music. And then so that's kind of like what started pulling me away from that, you know, getting to music, because when hip hop came in the late 70s, early 80s. You know, that made a big impact on my life, you know, because I was like, man, I was like totally into it, because I was always into rock. But when hip hop came out, that's what started changing my mentality, and I started writing rhymes and hanging around people that were doing the same thing.
Really? Yeah.
But we were catching a lot of heat from the neighborhood too, because the neighborhood was like, man, why are you guys doing all that black music for, man? You know? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because that's when, you know, all these Kumo D and L Cool J, you know, it was blowing up. Then BC Boys came out, so that kind of changed the perspective of things. You know, and then finally Mellow Man Ace came out, but you know, Mellow Man Ace is Afro-Cubano, you know, but he was doing Spanglish, so that opened up a lot of doors, you know. And then finally when Kid Frost came out, he identified with everybody that was Raza and was Chicanos in the neighborhood, you know. And then that kind of just changed the whole game, you know. And then from there, that's when we knew, like, okay, this is what we got to do, man. This is what we're here to do.
Let's retract a little bit. So you're saying you went to Mexico. How was your culture shock going to Mexico, dude? From growing up here in California in the U.S. and being over there, like. Did you went over there con la familia de tu mom, or was
my mom, you know.
What part of Mexico?
We went to Nayarit, you know.
Oh, no wonder you like mariscos, bro.
Mariscos, No, I grew up on that, man. You know, we love mariscos, man. It's just it's in the blood, man. You know, when you're in Nayarit, you have to have mariscos, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So I went over. I mean, I had gone over before every year. You know, we were going like twice a year. So I already knew, everything. You know, I knew everybody. I had friends already over there.
Oh, okay.
Because I would go, like I said, twice a year, you know?
So it wasn't like a bad transition?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad transition, but it did get weird when I had to start school. You know what I'm saying? Because my Spanish was like super chopped.
I know, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, my Spanish was super chopped, so they would make fun of me, you know, and you know, like to say, in other words, like tortillas, you know, I would say like tortillas. Or, I don't know, it was weird. So I would get clowned on a lot, you know. And it's just like, so I was constantly getting into fights over there too. You know?
I was gonna say, you were like, hey, what's up here, bro? Yeah.
So I was doing, you know, but then it's crazy because even though I was, you know, it's crazy because when I got over there, I started hanging around with. But the gangster, it was like, it just followed me, man. Like, I just hung out with the wrong people, man. And so, you know, I would hang around with, you know, I don't want to put people on blast, but it was, you know, like that whole narco culture, you know? Like, I would hang around with the kids. But I didn't know. I just, you know, these fools were all badass fools, you know, and everybody, you know, blazing and doing all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, oh, man, this is like LA, but it's just different, you know? Just different, you know, different style of music they're bumping over here, you know? You know, so, but I started hanging around with that crowd over there, you know? But even though I was hanging around with that crowd, I was still going to school and getting stuff, you know, and still getting knowledge and, you know, still learning stuff. So I was still trying to put my effort into school, but I was messing around with all these other fools and doing all kinds of dumb shit, you know. It felt like I had more freedom over there than over here. So I became a little menace over there for a while, you know. And then, you know, I was into breaking, you know, and pop lock and all that. So then I ended up starting my own breaking school over there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so then I started charging fools for this. So I'm hustling, making money, you know. And I'm teaching all these kids how to break dance, you know.
You were what, 13?
I was like about 13, 14 years old.
Damn, dude, so you're already in the hustle game in the early age.
So I was doing that, and then so I created my own little breaking crew. There was like 10 of us.
What was the name of it?
We didn't even have a name. We were just like, you know what I'm saying? They would just call it what is it? Los brequeadores. I don't know what's they gave us a name. Like, we would go places, and we get Los brequeadores de Los Angeles, California. I was the only one from LA, but you know what I'm saying? But all the other kids, they didn't know. So it was, but they got down though. You know, all these kids were getting down.
Did you guys wear all the windbreakers like back in the day? Remember?
Yeah, we had the windbreakers, and we had the, you know, the gloves, everything. Like, we had the whole setup, man. You know, and so I created that crew. And now we're going like now we got people sponsoring us trips to go to their cities to go breakdance, like at their plazas. You know, they have all the plazas, the kiosco and all that, and the plazas. So they would hire us to go to all these different cities. I'm like 13, 14 years old, and we're just traveling a bunch of food. We're all a bunch of youngsters, you know. And
you guys didn't have like somebody like adult.
We didn't have nobody, you know, nobody chaperoning. We were just our own. We were just our own people. And so my mom thought I was like at my tia's house, you know, and my tias thought, you know, they didn't know where I was at, you know. And then, but one of my cousins go, nah, I'm not like over here. I'm in San Juan. I'm in Guanajuato. I was all over the place, you know. Like we were just hopping buses, you know.
So pretty much you were just traveling in Mexico.
We were just traveling all over Mexico, just doing breakdance tours for different towns. Yeah, you know, and so finally, you know, when I was like 16, I was like, man, I'm going back to the States. And then I came back. I ended up coming back when I was like 16.
You had a phone call with your mom, like, hey, mom, me quiero regresar, or?
I didn't even tell her that. I just showed up one day.
I'm assuming you bought your own ticket?
I bought my own ticket.
Really?
Yeah, you know, because I was making money, and then my mom was sending money over to my tias to take care of me, you know, to buy me whatever I needed for food and all that stuff. So I had money all the time, you know, and so I just ended up, and then I was doing the breakdancing thing, you know, so I was making money. So I just ended up buying a ticket, me and like 3 other homies. And dude, what was crazy is I was the only one that had birth certificate papers here. Those fools didn't, but I crossed over with those fools, man. So the next thing you know, I started crossing other fools over. So then I was doing coyote work for a minute.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I did it for like a year, and then after I was like, man, I gotta get out of this shit, man.
So when you were crossing in Tijuana, or you were just flying them in?
We were coming in through Mexicali.
Orale.
Yeah, into Calexico.
What?
And then sometimes through Tijuana too, you know.
Because they
come out to the side of the mountain,
Yeah.
and then there was a in San Isidro there was a little fence that we could come out by a gas station. And right there, we would just come out of there, you know. Or sometimes I would be right there waiting and picking foods up. It was
a hustler, bro.
It was chaos,
man. That's crazy. But as you were there for 3 years, did you feel like your Spanish got a little bit better? Or not?
Yeah. No. So at the end of the day, I felt like, you know, like it happened for a reason, you know. And I ended up picking up on good Spanish. I learned how to read and write good Spanish, you know. So and that helped me down the line, you know, and we'll talk about that too, you know, when I got into doing Spanish rap, you know, and so all that learning the Spanish, it wasn't, you know, like at first, like I said, I was mad at my mom for a few years. I was like,
so walk us through, like, how was that, dude, when you just showed up to your mom's house unannounced?
She was just tripping out, dude.
Did you have that talk with her, or did you still have the resentment?
Well, when I still kind of had resentment with her, but you know, but we talked, you know, and over the next couple of years, everything got better, got cool.
But did you came to a point in your life where you're like, you know what, now I understand why she sent me, you know?
Well, I finally thanked her like years later, though, you know, because that's when I got the major record deal with Balboa Records, you know, with this Spanish record. That's when I you know, like I realized, like, oh shit, everything kind of just happened for a reason.
It wasn't.
If I wouldn't went through that and learned Spanish and all that, I wouldn't like been able to get this record deal. You know, so everything just kind of connected.
Yeah, you know? Connected, and that's crazy, dude. That you say that, because you know sometimes, like, when we're growing up, dude, and our parents tend to do things to us, or like we take it the wrong way. You know, what I mean? We're young, we're rebellious. We're like, what? They don't love me right now? Screw that shit. You know what I mean? Because I used to be like that with my dad, dude. I always kind of had that type of resentment. But then now that I'm old, dude, I go back and I was like, you know what? It wasn't because he was being a dick. It's just like he was just trying to look out for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? That's what it is. But we don't see it when we're
young. We don't see it, dude. Yeah. So every time I have an opportunity to talk to a youngster, I always tell them, never be mad at your mom.
Exactly.
They're always trying. Even though right now in your eyes it seems like they hate you, they don't. They're just looking out for you.
They're just looking out for you, man. They're looking out for your best interest, you know?
Yeah. So,
that's how I felt. I felt like when I was over there, I felt like I felt a bandit. I'm not The first year, so I was just in that FU mode, you know? I was like, I really didn't care, you know? It was like, but I just over there. I went to school, I signed up, you know, I was cool with my tias, you know, all my cousins. Yeah. You know, I lived with two different families, you know, from my mom's side, you know, my mom's sisters. And so I lived with one tia for like, I don't know, I want to say like a year and a half to almost 2 years. And then last year I moved in with another tia, because then I got into it with that tia, because since she started getting on my case, because I was always, you know, hanging around with the wrong crowd. Yeah. I didn't want to hear it, you know?
¿Cómo te decían? ¿Anthony or
Tony? Yeah. My mom said, no, Tony, no hagas eso. Yeah. Always get into trouble.
Yeah. Did you ever, like, had to talk with your tias, like, hey, tia, you know, I'm sorry I was a little hard-headed with you guys when I was young, but, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, with my tias, I never, like, really, you know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of, you know, they understood me more than my mom did. I felt that's how I felt. Like, my tias understood me more, you know, so I would have more, like, cool talks with my tias, you know? But my tias would always tell me, nah, your mom's doing it por tu bien, you know? That's what te mandó acá, you know? Because they knew the situation that I was getting into over here, you know? So my tias would, you know, they would talk to me, you know, in a cool manner and tell me about, you know, your mom's not doing it because she, you know, she doesn't want you with her. She's doing it because she's trying to save your life, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't see it that way at the time. You know, I just felt like a bandit, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? To your defense, or any youngster out there is just like, it's just, I mean, we don't know any better at that time.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that it goes through our head. We feel abandoned. We feel betrayed, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you get older and you start realizing, you're like, man, you know what? Nah, they didn't mean it.
You know, I knew she had the best interest at the end of the day. You know, she wanted, you know, she didn't want to see me dead, though, you know?
Especially you said that you were early age.
Yeah, you know, getting out of control. It's just, I don't know, I just kind of, you know, like now, obviously I'm more calm now, you know, but yeah, I was just kind of like a knucklehead, you know, when I was a kid, you know. Just,
did that transition, like when you were growing up in East LA, dude, and you were starting to veer in that direction, were there any point in your life, bro, you're like, you know what, I can I be a cop? Can I be a firefighter? Can I be a lawyer? You know, that ever thought you came to your mind instead of just, you know, because sometimes, we get to a point where like, okay, this is the only direction I'm going to go right now because all my homies are there, right?
Yeah.
But doing that transition, we were like, man, should I pull back and maybe focus on school, maybe go to college? Did that ever happen to you, cross your mind? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I tried a couple of different things, you know, like I got into like computer-aided drafting, you know, like I thought, that'd be dope. So I started going to school for that. I got finance, you know, they had those through the school, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but then after like 6 months, I was just like, I just wasn't feeling it, man.
Yeah.
Like I just wasn't feeling it. I just getting there. I went back to the old stuff, like, with the homies hanging out and just doing dumb shit, you know.
Yeah.
And then it came to a point where I wanted to be a cop. I was gonna be a highway patrol.
Yeah.
So I tried going for that, you know. It's just that I didn't pass the drug test. So you know how that goes. You know? Apparently they don't like people smoking weed on the forest, you know. So that didn't work out, you know. So
you're like, damn it, at least I tried.
I tried it though, yeah. I gave it a shot, man. I tried a couple different things.
Nice.
Just, you know, and just it's just one of those things where it doesn't hurt to try different opportunities. If the opportunity's there, give it a shot. You know, you never know. You know.
Now you said that you started getting into music in the late '80s when hip hop started coming up, and you also mentioned that your neighborhood was giving you guys a shit because it's like, hey, you're getting into a different type of hip hop. You know, how'd you took that, dude? Because you were in love with music, you like the beats, you like the rhythm, but how did you took that from your peers telling you like, dude, why are you getting into that type of music? You know what I mean?
I mean, for a couple of years, I just didn't tell anybody. You know what I'm saying? After that, you know, like I just kind of kept it to myself, man. Like I would write lyrics, but I was just like stacking up shit, you know, because I learned how to write from a couple of different cats that I met around the I don't know, like 89, 90. You know, so they taught me how to write, you know. One of my original partners, you know, Shotgun, you know, that was his nickname, but his name is John. He taught me how to write in bars, you know, and so I started hanging around with people like that just were doing stuff like that.
And just veering off.
Yeah, and I just didn't worry about the other homies, you know. I just kind of backed away, you know. Like I still kept my close contacts, you know, with certain homies, you know, like the supportive ones, you know. And the other homies, you know, I would just run into them when I would run into them at a party or something and hang out, you know.
So you were in the era with was it you said Beastie Boys?
That's when the Beastie Boys. Yeah, that era. That's when I really started like getting into like more writing and I wanted to rap. That's when I wanted to rap like when the Beastie Boys came out. But NWA was popping, you know. Kumo D, you know, KRS-One, you know, they had a group called Boogie Down Productions, you know. So that was my era.
Those were the days, huh?
Those were the days. I remember Eric being Rakim.
Yeah, I remember waking up watching the MTV. Yeah, watch all the music videos.
Yeah, MTV raps. You know, and all that stuff.
I remember me and my buddies would go to my homie's house because he had the cable. The box, and we'll go there and watch the like Dr. Dre videos and stuff like that. You see all the girls with the bikini. For us, it was like a portal stuff.
Those the early set off days. They set it off.
They're like, what's going on down there? I remember those days. So you say your buddy Shotgun started teaching you how to write. How do you write music, bro? And that's something I always wanted to ask. Is like, okay, you as an artist, like, is it? I'm sorry, dude. No disrespect. I'm just using this analogy. Is it? You know how people write poems, and it rhymes. Is it something like that, or is it like how is it?
Yeah,
you're writing a song.
It's almost like writing a poem.
Yeah,
it's just you're adding more rhymes to it, though. You're adding more bars to it.
I like shit as the beat right now, bro. Shit is an old school song. ¿Te acuerdas?
Ya no me acuerdo de nada.
Come on, bro, because I know you come from descendants of family that come with the music, bro.
Yeah,
I heard.
Well, I mean, we do, but it's one of those things where it's like if I don't mess with it for a long time,
se te olvida.
Yeah, I gotta get back into like if somebody asked me, go, hey, we need you to perform some of the old songs.
Yeah,
give me 2 weeks. Let me practice my my shit. So it'd be like that.
So okay, so you started getting into writing, bro. You started getting into music. You're being inspired by the '80s hip hop. And you're like, all right. At what point at that during that era, you're like, okay, I want to take this to the next level. Like, when did the group start forming? When did you and the guys came over and came up with the name?
I want to say like 91, like 90, like 90. Like I want to say like 91. That's when because during 90 and 91, we were just a bunch of dudes just hanging out that I met with, in the garage. That was my DJ's garage, and we were just like a bunch, like 5 MCs and him, and he would just spin records back and forth, and just instrumentals, and just going back and forth, and then all of us would just take turns on the mic, and and just practice like, I just wrote this last night, and so we'd be right there with our notepads, reading off the stuff. Some of us had to memorize, like that, and then so we would bounce ideas off of each other, and we were like, hey, try this, or maybe cut this out, like that, and then that's how I learned, and then that's how the homie would tell me was to writing bars, like. The easiest way, he goes, like do like 4 bars and then 4 bars and then so it's 4 lines, right? So try to write boom, boom, boom here with that, and then boom, boom, boom over here, and then boom with this. So he was just like structuring, like showing me how to structure all that up, And he showed me how the easiest way, and I just learned like that, man. And next thing you know, I was writing, a little bit, Mickey Mouse rhymes, but little by little, you know what I'm saying? You start developing your stuff, and I would listen to a lot of other MCs, and not to bite, but just to kind of learn their formulas. And then you would kind of make your own formula, like, okay, I see the way this was doing it, and then you just start trying different stuff, man, and then, you just go with whatever works for you.
So you mentioned too earlier that Kid Frost was one of the reasons why, like, okay, boom, let's take this, right? And then you also just mentioned right now that you had your group going on, you guys were figuring out each other. What was it that made you guys take it to the next level? Like, what was it that let's see if we could get a record deal? Or did you guys start playing local clubs first and they started getting noticed, and so somebody just like, I want to get you guys a deal? Or how did that start?
When we really, really got serious is when Kid Frost stepped on the scene, Okay. Once Kid Frost came out with La Raza, then that set it off, like that's when everybody was trying to get a record deal. And then you got all these record labels trying to sign everybody too. So and then you had independent labels too. So we ended up getting an independent deal. So first we got a single in 1992, but before that once Kid Frost was blowing up. Now we're trying to get out there and do shows. So we ended up hooking up with this one lady that was she was a promoter for different artists, and she was doing a lot of car shows. She would produce a lot of car shows. You know what I'm saying? So she started booking us.
Oh, nice.
She started booking us, so we started doing stuff with Larry Shader Brown, and then in our first show ever that we ever did that, and we rocked that too. It was opening up for Kid Frost.
Nice.
Out of all people,
the person that you guys looked up to.
Yeah, that was the guy. That was our first show. We knew nothing about state, but we went up there and we just kind of we did our thing, and people were feeling it, man. So after that, we started getting noticed, and that's when the lady that threw that car show that had booked Kid Frost. That's the lady that she goes, hey, you guys wanna do another show? I got another show coming up. You guys want to do it that one? Because she just gave us a shot.
Yeah.
She didn't even know we'd never been on stage. She just heard some of a couple of our demos that we had. She goes, hey, you guys want to perform? I have Frost coming through and a couple other acts, and you know what I'm saying? You guys down? Nice. We're like, let's do it. And so we practiced, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing, really. We got to memorize this. We had like 4 songs that we did, we had to memorize these 4 songs, and let's try to put on a show. And then, so we would watch other groups, like we would watch Beastie Boys perform.
Just to get ideas.
NWA, and then we saw how they're doing it. So then we would kind of structure our stuff off of that, you know, to get the crowd hype in the between, you know, and get the crowd involved and stuff like that. So then, so it wasn't a boring. So right from the beginning, we learned how to fucking do a show. Dude, we had better shows than a lot of the artists that were already signed that were out there doing shit. Like, that's how we started getting noticed because we were better at on live than anything.
That day that you opened for Kid Frogs, did you ever have the time to say, "Hey man, the reason why we're here is because of you"?
No, we never got a chance to even talk to that lady because so many people were bum rushing that fool, you know, and taking pictures and everything. And we got a quick picture with them, and that was it. We couldn't really get to chop it up with him. You know? He was a big sensation.
By then, you guys were already Browntown?
No, Matter of fact, at that time, that's when we had originally started using the name Browntown. And then, and we just used that day with that lady when she goes, "How do you guys want me to put you on the flyer?" We didn't even have a name.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, one of the homies said, it was just Browntown. They were just a bunch of brown guys, from the same town. You know? And so the lady goes, "All right," and so she just put Browntown, and it stuck with us after that. Yeah. And it was funny because everywhere we went after that, people thought we were a gang.
At Juan Avila Photography, we specialize in capturing decisive headshots and portraits that tell your unique story. Serving Salinas, Monterey County, and beyond, our high-quality images reflect your professionalism and authenticity. Whether for corporate teams, executives, or personal branding, let us elevate your image with headshots tailored to your needs. Book your session today.
Because there was a group of us, you know, we were rolling. It was 5 of us and 6 in the group. Yeah, you know, 5 MCs and a DJ, and then you got the entourage, the homies, you know, that come around. So now we had like about 20 fools rolling us, so it looked like we were a gang. So we started catching a lot of heat for that down the line, but we got a reputation for that one.
Let me ask you this, bro. From one bald-headed guy to another bald-headed guy, were you bald all this time, or you just cut your hair short?
At that time, we were just buzz cutting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were just buzz cutting. You know, we just we started off with the clip number 1, and then after that it just went to a 0. And then later on it just went to shaving.
Because when I was growing up and I was in high school, even before I got sick, I always 00 on the side and number 1 on top. Yeah. And then obviously after what I went through, my hair grew. Yeah, and I was like, all right, cool. And my wife, I was gonna cut it. My wife said, don't cut it. It looks really nice. So I started doing this rico suave comb to the side and all that stuff. And then I was like, oh, dude, man, if I would have known I could have pulled this off, I would have let my hair grow when I was younger. You know? And I told my wife, imagine how many chicks I would have been dating even more. And she's like, you know? But then I obviously started falling off doing it, and I just went bald, bro. I think I look better bald.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to maintain, you know.
See, bro, I was like, okay.
It looks fresh, you know. You're always looking, you know.
Yeah, a lot of guys pay $50 to $60 for a haircut.
It's insane.
I used to pay $10, dude, for my fade.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
every Friday I get my fade. Yeah,
when I used to get fades, because I used to get fades too, you know, before I started buzz cutting. Yeah. I remember we used to pay like $10. Maybe $8 if you got a good deal somewhere. You know?
There was this lady that she's always cut my hair here in Salinas. Shout out to Trini's hair salon. And she's all like, mijo, I got to raise my prices. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm paying $6, you know? She's like, $10. And then she till I went bald, she's still charging me $10, dude. Yeah. And then by then she was charging $25 for my haircut. But now I was like, man, I pay $25 for my beard. Dog,
and that's without the tip.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I mean, you know, I guess it's considered an art, you know, as well. You know, barbering, you know, it's considered an art as well, you know. So yeah. But yeah, it's gotten pricey though, man, compared to before, you know.
See, dude, that's why I tell everybody, dude, you guys have no idea. $10, dude, or $5 a week. It was doable. Now it's like I tell my barber, dude, people pay you $55 every week. So yeah, dude, I have clients that come every week.
Every week, some people, they want to stay looking fresh all the time. But some people do it like every 2 weeks, you know. And I was like, some guys do it, every week.
I'm like, are they married, bro? Or they're single? Huh? They're like, I don't know. I think they're single because once you get married, dude, you don't go every week.
Ya no queda dinero,
yeah. Oh, but no le digas a las girls because they want to do their nails. You know what I mean? So all right, so Browntown was taking off, dude. You guys open for Kid Frost. You guys are touring, right?
Yeah, we started doing all the car shows in
all the car shows, like the Lowrider show. Like was it the Lowrider? The main...
we didn't get to do Lowrider shows until later, but we did all the local car shows that were thrown by local.
Yeah.
But they were big car shows, man.
Yeah. Well, especially in LA. That's
dude, I'm telling you, that first show that we did was like maybe like I don't know, like there was like 5,000 people in the crowd right there, maybe 10,000 people.
Yeah,
it was huge for being our first show.
So you started with 4 songs. And then at what point were you guys the headliners?
It took a while. I mean, it took a couple years, and then we started doing our own shows, and then I think our first like super show that was headlining was when we went to Japan. 98, 97, 98. We headlined our first like super lowrider show
in Japan.
And we didn't even know we were headlining.
Did they knew who you guys were?
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yeah, we didn't know they knew us like that, though.
That's the thing.
We just thought we were just like the openers. We thought we were going to do like 10, 15-minute show, and like, cool, and we're out, sell some merchandise that we can.
Yeah.
So, they told us take some merch, you could sell for sure, and all right, cool, man. And when we get there, we find out we're the headliners and shit.
Wow. It's crazy, dude. I've been watching a lot of videos on TikTok where the nuestra cultura mexicana, allá, some of them.
It's huge, man.
It's huge. The lowriders. Yeah. There's this one barber guy, dude, that shows up to his barber shop with the lowrider bike. Y bien jet out. Yeah. And I was just like, dude, it's crazy that I've never seen this everywhere.
It threw me off, though, when I was over there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, dude, because, it threw me off seeing it from those guys, right? And then from you, like, walk us through your experience getting to Japan and seeing that, pues, otra raza, otro tipo de, and the next city, they're rocking the style, right? Like, how was it? Like, how were you like, whoa, you were like...
They're big on California culture, especially Chicano California culture, man. They're big on the lowrider scene, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have their own scene over there.
Yeah.
So we were tripping out. We get there, man. The next day, it starts snowing out of nowhere. We're tripping out, and so we're walking around. We go to the mall the first day before we went to go do sound check. I remember we were going to do sound check. And then we went. They took us to the mall to go walk around, go check out stuff. And people were just running up to us and taking pictures. What? And I didn't know. I was like tripping out.
You're
I was like, they would come up and then they hand me their baby, take a picture, and then you had the baby and then take off. I'm like, what the hell, And then I'm telling the guy like, whoa, and then what's the deal, man? Maybe they think I'm related to Buddha, or because I was kind of big, So or what is it? So I was like really baffled. And then that guy goes, "Oh no, you don't know." I go, "No way." He goes, "You guys are big time over here." What do you mean big time?
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That one song you guys did on that on a compilation from Greenside Records, where I think the name of the song was called Noisy Minorities." And I go, "Yeah, I remember that song. We did that shit a long time ago." And he goes, "Yeah, well, that song made it out here and it blew up."
Holy crap.
He goes, "That's why you guys are here."
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Yeah, he goes, "It took them a long time to track you guys down to get you guys here."
Nice, dude.
So it was crazy the way that story went down, how we ended up over there,
Yeah.
I want to say it looked all by coincidence, but I mean, everything's by design, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but...
Did you get anybody to pull up to you and say like a Spanish word or something? Try to talk
no,
Spanish?
they weren't even talking to us. They were just coming up, taking pictures, and then running out. But we were polite though. And then we were like just tripping out. So then when we get to the arena, back to the arena, we went back to the hotel, and got ready, rested up a little. We went back to the arena, to the convention center that we're having the show. And then we get there, and then I'm telling the guy, I go, "Hey, bro," I go, "Hey, are people even gonna show up?" And I'm looking around like, who's headlining? Like I'm looking out for other acts. I don't see nobody there yet. Like they have us in a big old dressing room. We're just chilling right there, like downstairs from the stage is like up on top. And so and then it's snowing hard. It was like a blizzard. And I'm telling the dude, is anybody even gonna show up into this shit? It's a blizzard. He goes, "Trust me, man. People are gonna show up. There's a train station here. People don't in the snow. They won't drive."
Yeah.
So because the convention center was like a little bit outside of Tokyo. He goes, "There's a train station here, so people from all over Japan are gonna come here." So I thought this fool was just like pulling our leg, This was just like, just overhyping it over here,
Yeah.
He was our tour manager, And so he goes, "There's a train station, so don't worry about it, man. You guys are gonna have a good crowd." And all right. And then another hour goes by, and I go, "Man, it's super quiet out there, bro. Like I hear like a little bit of, action going on, but he goes, come here, man. He took me up by the curtains where you could look outside. Mm-hmm. And I look outside, it was packed, but everybody was sitting down. They cross-legged.
They're all respectful?
Well, all respectful, though. They're having conversations about themselves, but like whispering, dude. And I was just like tripped out. And then I started like really looking around, and I'm like, and that's when I started noticing it. And I go, damn, what's up with all these cholos right here, man? And then I was then I started looking, what's up with all these Bloods and Crips over here? So now I'm tripping, dog. And I tell them, hey, dog, are we gonna be all right here? Oh no, chill. It's just a fashion thing here. They're not into the whole game bang. It's just a fashion. They love the California culture, man. And like, are you sure? He goes, yeah, trust me, man. And I was tripping out because these fools were bald heads, loked up with the glasses, big old baggy jeans and flannels and tumbados, and just chilling down, and you just wouldn't notice anything unless they took their glasses off, like that. And then that's when you're like, oh, okay, like that. But I thought they were like, I go, hey, these fools come from LA or are they following us or what's
like that?
But the fools, he goes, nah, he goes, you'll be straight, man. So I was like, all right, cool, man. So I was telling the homies, I go, well, it looks packed out there. The homies went out there tripping. They were tripping out too. And then, so when it was time for us to go out, at this time we're already known as Browntown Looters, because this is like after the riots, already. And somehow we got that name adapted because we were out there in the 1992 riots when the whole Rodney King riots when all that stuff went down. So we got caught up in that mix, and that's how we ended up getting the name Looters, and they added to us, Browntown Looters, which was not really a good look, man. But you know what I'm saying? Because that prohibited us from doing the shows in the other parts, because of the name, they didn't want to deal with us. Man. It was bad enough Browntown, and then now you got Looters to it. Yeah. So now it was just like a double whammy, So, but we were still getting booked, and so our gimmick was okay. Well, let's just ride with this whole Looter shit, And so our intro was a bunch of sirens, cops, you hear the chopper, the ghetto bird, and you hear all this ruckus going on. It's just like another day in the neighborhood, And so the minute that went on there, the crowd started getting fired up, man. Yeah. And then when we went out there, we stepped out in ski masks in. Oh, they lost it, dude. The crowd went wild. Dog. I never seen anything like that, dog. Yeah. Like they just exploded, dog, and it was just crazy. And then when we took the ski mask off. And then that's when they went even more crazy, and we just threw them out, And so they went nuts, man. But we were tripping out, that when we told the guy before we went out, we asked him and go, hey man, let me ask you, who's headlining, or what time do we go on, who's closing out the show? And then the vato goes, you guys, and I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, you guys are the headliners, And we're like tripping out, like, dude, we only came prepared for like 15, 20 minutes, to do. Yeah. The guy wanted to do an hour set. So, but none of that was ever timed. We never. We just never asked.
So you guys you guys didn't know at all that you guys.
So then I was like, dude, I told my DJ, I put him to the side. I go, hey, bro, fuck, this is gonna be a good one, dog. Yeah. And then he goes, no, don't trip, man. I got all the instrumentals. Because he would print all our instrumentals on record, on vinyl. So he had them all on vinyl, and then he goes, and I got the DAT machine, the digital audio tape machine. Because I got the DAT machine, I got everything, dog, don't even trip. And I go, yeah, but the problem is that I don't know a lot of the other songs that So then after then my other boy that steps in, my old boy Skinny, he's my homie from my neighborhood, they call him Malo now. That fool goes, bro, he was my backup man, doing backups and choruses, and the hype man. Yeah. He goes, bro, don't shit. I know all your lyrics, dog. He goes, if you fall out, I'll step in. Okay. So yeah, we did the hour show, man. Damn. Yeah, and we pulled it off, man. And yeah, some of the parts were, and a lot of stuff came back to me when I was once you're out there, but a lot of stuff I couldn't remember. I would just blank out, and he would step in. He already knew, we knew each other, that.
He was able to read it off.
He was ready to read, so we pulled it out good, man. But yeah. When I got off, I was like, dude, I had never done an hour show, dog. No. So that day we had done the most, 30 minutes.
After the show finished, dude, what was your experience soaking everything in, dude? Like watching a crowd that went wild for you guys and not knowing that you guys were the headliners and you had to improvise from 15 to 20 minutes that you guys had prepared for to making it happen to an hour. What was the feeling after it?
Well, first of all, man, they had to bring an oxygen tank, dog, because I was out of breath. So I was just laid out on the stairs there. I didn't even make it down the stairs there from the stage to the back to the dressing room, man. Me quedé acostado right there. They had to bring the oxygen machine, dog, because I was out of breath, man. I was done, man. But I was tripping out, man. I was just like, man, I was just like, and then once we did the meet and greet, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah, like we did the meet and greet. Like an hour later, they let us, do our thing, get composed or whatever, And I got my airbag, and we
shut up with your little oxygen tank.
I met her. And then we did our thing. We grouped again, relaxed for a little bit. And then we went out, we did a meet and greet, dog. And it was just packed, dog. It was just like, man, people waiting.
Did you see some chinitas all hardcore G'd out también?
Oh, yeah. I almost married one, dog. I almost brought home a Japanese chick. Me hizo una novia over there.
Yeah. You're like, hey, don't worry, I'll cross you.
Yeah. Just like, man, bro, I'm at the flyer over there.
Damn.
On the boat or something, man.
Oh, man. So you're there. The music is popping, bro. Browntown Looters are going. And then you mentioned something, on your bios or something that you became a dad. Yeah. That changed your perspective. You started thinking about life a little bit more serious. From being an artist to okay, now I'm a dad. I gotta do something. More stable. I gotta be there for my son. And that says a lot because, there's a lot of artists that even though they have families and kids, they still continue touring. They still continue doing their thing, right? But for you, coming to a decision you're going to be a father and thinking about okay, I need to tone it down, Was that a hard decision for you or was that an easy decision automatically?
It was pretty easy, though, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew, I had to show my son better,
Yeah.
Because even though we were doing the Browntown Looter stuff and we were touring, I was still doing a bunch of stuff on the side, that I shouldn't have been doing, like we're still sounding like drugs and, just doing, because we were making money, but we weren't making that much money.
Yeah.
So we still kept doing that, but at the same time, I was like, man, I want to do better for him. He was already a year old and I was still, caught up doing other stuff with the neighborhood still, though, And so it just get to a point where I was just like, man, I you know what I'm saying? He's going to get older. I don't want him to see this shit, and eventually learn, the stuff I'm doing, And so I just kind of just left that behind, man. I started focusing more on doing more music and then, and then little by little, it just kind of, for a minute too, what happened is I stopped doing music. I stopped the entertainment stuff for a couple of years. This is before I kind of got ahead of the Japan stuff, but before the Japan stuff, I that's when my son was already a year old. You know what I'm saying? And so I stopped doing a lot of the stuff, and I got into doing security. Oh, okay, and I think I told you before, that I was working for No Limit. Yeah. For No Limit Records, I was doing security bodyguard work. And then, but that kind of I did that for a couple of years, and then that's when I that sparked another thing that, man, I need to get back into doing music. At some point, I was doing this stuff, and then the year after that, I quit doing that. That's when I ended up in Japan,
Oh, okay.
But so now I wasn't making money doing security guard body work, because I was doing making good money doing bodyguard work, and so I got back into the music stuff, and of course the music stuff wasn't, we're getting back into it without wasn't really paying the bills, so I just started doing a bunch of dumb shit again. And then, but it just got to a point where, he's already gonna be 2 years old. I don't, and he's not, kids they're not dumb, man. They notice things, they notice things. So I just kind of started. I told my boy, hey, bro, you know what, like I think I'm just gonna stop doing this shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm really gonna focus more on the music stuff. And the minute I stopped doing that, and I started focusing more on the music, I ended up meeting this other homie named, rest in peace, Brown Weddle. His name was Paul Martinez, and he was like a brother to us too, and he became part of the group. And we started doing music, and he was a youngster straight out of high school, and he was just hungry for it. And so we just started doing music together, and I started teaching him how to write bars, and so everything that I was taught, I showed to him, it was kind of passed it down, that's always been my thing, pass it down to the next generation that's coming up, set them in the right direction or whatever, So then we put out a double CD album it was just self-titled Browntown Looters. And we started going on tour and doing a bunch of stuff, and during that time, I started working for LATV, and I was co-hosting a TV show called The Hip Hop Show. And so we did that for 5 years. And so during that time, I thought, I started getting paid doing that. And then I was doing music. So now I had a little bit of money coming in from the entertainment side. So I wasn't really needing all the other stuff, So little by little, is one of those things that just started going on, and then it started going away. And then, I'm a big a believer in God and faith, you know. And, so I was, I always pray for for the right people to be put in my life, one way or another, you know, and for the wrong people to get exited, somehow. And so it's always been like that, and it's just like, when I'm doing bad stuff and then I catch myself in it, and then, eventually I end up getting out of that in the meeting with the right people, and then stuff starts going forward, and
so slowly you start transitioning,
just building up, Even though it gets frustrating because you don't see really the end of the line, you don't see the light at the tunnel, and you're like, man, when is this gonna ever like kick in? But then you kind of start reflecting and looking back, and you're like, man, but I have come a long way, and that's kind of what's always kept me going, because I'm like, man, ya estoy más para allá que para acá, so I got to keep going. And even though I have my son, and I'm not, I'm being more away from home because I'm doing touring, I'm doing the music. Now he's born, but I'm trying to spend time with him, So during the week, most of my shows were sometimes were maybe 2 weeks at a time I'd be gone, but I would try to keep it at that, no more than that.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy, and then I come back and then I spend a whole week with him. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Spend that whole week with him. He was little, and so I would wake up every morning and take care of him and watch cartoons with them and feed him, and his mom would go to work or whatever, and do her thing. Or she was going to school at the time, I think, too, and she was, I forgot what trade, she was learning for some kind of trade, but so I was spending all the time I could with them. So then when I wasn't around, because I would go, when he would be asleep, I'd go to the studio. At night, I would do my sessions at night, so I could go do that, be up all night. And then I go back in la madrugada, and then sometimes I had to go to, and then sometimes I had a regular job too, 9 to 5, and then so sometimes I go home and barely shower, eat something, and then go to work.
Go to work,
and so but I was always looking like, man, I always felt like something, just keep going. There's something bigger is gonna happen, something bigger is gonna happen, and that's how we just keep it going.
Engaging video content can drive your business forward. We specialize in creating professional corporate videos and commercials tailored to your brand. Collaborative ideas help display your vision. Let's elevate your business today. LC1 Productions, crafting stories that matter.
It's awesome that you point that out, dude, and because a lot of people that start a journey, either entrepreneurship or school or anything they set their minds to, there's always going to be that, man, when are we going to see the light at the end of the tunnel? You know what I mean? But we have to face those adversities. We have to go through those trials and challenges like you did, dude, working a 9 to 5 job and then going to the studio at night while your son is sleeping, that just shows how resilient you were, how the adversity you faced within, and then little did you know that it was preparing you to be where you're at right now, And sometimes we don't look at that. We're just stuck on man, why things are not clicking?
When is it gonna happen?
Yeah, because that has happened to me, bro. I'm like, man, I started this business and I haven't seen a dime. You know what I mean? Should I continue going or not? But it's just a process. I mean, some people are more lucky than others. We have some of us have to work harder. Others, dude, no sé qué, dude, they get it quick. But that's just life,
everybody has a different journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a different journey.
Yeah.
And everything happens different for everybody, man.
Yeah.
And there's just lessons in life that we got to learn as we go along.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I tell everybody, dude, remember, everything that happens to your life is for a reason, and you're going to learn from it. You're going to become a better individual. Don't dwell on what you could have done. Why did that happen to you, Just a little bit to share with you. I'm a cancer survivor. And for me, dude, for a while, I was like, dude, why did that happen to me? Why did I get diagnosed? Why did I have to go through what I went through, But then it's like, okay, it taught me about the lesson. Look where I'm at. I'm sitting across from you having this conversation, awesome, recording this episode, Who would have thought that I was going to be here, right? So for me, it's just an opportunity in life to just better myself and learn from myself and become a better version, that I can until God tells me, hey, you know what, it's time up. Your time is up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it's your time and it's your time to go, it's going to go, and nobody knows when. So you might as well make it count while you're here.
Yes, make the best of it. Make the best of it.
Make it count while you're here.
Yeah, ves, you were going to make the best of con la chinita, bro.
Dude, I didn't tell you they were trying to keep me in Japan.
See?
Yeah, they wanted to become a sumo wrestler. They told me, hey, we'll take care of you. We'll buy you a condo, whatever you want, whatever you need. And I go, nah, man, I got my son over there in Cali. You know, he's barely a year old. Go, hey, we'll bring him over here too, you know. But I was already separated from his mom. And I go, if I was with his mom, maybe it would have came and live over there.
You'll be balling over there, dude.
No, they wanted to make me a Big Ten sumo wrestler, man.
Yeah. Did you thought about it? Were you like, shit?
I thought about it, yeah, man. But I was like, nah, I can't do it, man. You know, it's like,
dude, imagine wearing those big old calzones, bro.
Yeah, they really wanted to put me in a diaper, dog. I was like, nah, I'm good, man. They go, yeah, we'll feed you a lot of noodles and rice. And I was like, fuck, sounds good.
So obviously we touch on transitioning little by little, right? Now, something that I want to ask you that was brought to my attention before this episode. You come from a family of artistas, ¿verdad?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So, ¿cómo está eso de que you're related to the Lizárragas and the Aguilares?
Well, basically, with Antonio Aguilar, the ranchero singer, that's my dad's primo hermano, first cousin. You know?
No way, dude.
Yeah, so that's how we have that connection, you know, through there. And then on my mom's side, you know, is the Banda Recodo, you know, because the original, you know, Banda, it's a family thing, you know, Los Lizárragas.
Yeah.
So my mom is a Lizárraga, you know, so you know, they originally come from Sinaloa, then they moved to Nayarit. Now they're taking over Jalisco somehow. I don't know. Most of my family is in Jalisco now, you know. But I still have a lot of roots in Nayarit, you know. So, but so Don Cruz Lizárraga was who started the Banda Recodo. That's my mom's uncle, you know.
No way, dude. Yeah.
So, you know, so all my mom said, you know, they're all Lizárragas, you know, so.
Hey, so can you give me Angelica Aguilar's phone number, bro?
I might, if I get in and make some calls.
I think I'm better looking at Cristian Nodal.
Some of these fools don't even know who I am, but yeah, you know, but we'll figure it out.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So it's just, you know,
Hey,
like,
but now you have connects, bro. If you want to come over to this, hey, ¿qué onda, tío?
man.
Yeah, I think La Recodo was here like 2 weeks ago at Watsonville.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, they were right here. We know somebody that she's like a locutora here, and she reached out to my wife. She's like, "You guys want tickets?" I'm like, my wife said no. I'm like, "Dude, let's go!"
Yeah. What do they call it? La madre de las bandas.
Sí, yeah, Recodo match.
They're OG, man.
Yeah.
I remember going to shows back in the days. We used to go to the shows for free. I didn't even know we were related.
When did you find out you were related?
So like later on, like when I was like maybe, I don't know, like 17, 16, like 16, when I was in Mexico, I found out. But when I was younger, we would go there for shows. When I was a little kid, like during Christmas or whatever, we would spend Christmas break over there. And Recodo would be like come passing through town. All my family got free tickets, you know. We would all go. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Until after when they started explaining, they go, you know, that's my mom started going, it's mi tío, and you know, and so I started getting to meet a lot of the OG fools. You know, a lot of them dudes already passed away, but you still, you know, but there's a lot like the newer, like Poncho, Lizardo, you know, like we're cousins, like second cousins, I guess. I don't know, something like that. But I don't. I know him, but we don't know. He doesn't know we're cousins. So I met him before. You know? But I don't think he knows. I never told him anything.
Next time you see him, hey, did you know somos primos, bro?
Yeah. Because my name is, my full name is Jose Antonio Campos Lizárraga. You know? So it's in, you know, because in Mexico, that's how they use it. Yeah.
It's like five names of that.
Yeah, you know, in Mexico, so on all your names.
Yeah, I'm Jose Trinidad Argueta Jr. Friday. I was like, shit. His name, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, and in Mexico in school, they use both last names over there. You know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when you write your name on all your paperwork, you know, everything has to have both names.
That's crazy, dude. So, okay, so everything started to shift to you, man. You know, you're starting to veer off away from the bad habits. You're focusing more on the good habits. And then at what point did you start getting interested on acting? When did the acting roles start coming in?
Well, the acting, I've always had that acting bug, you know. Okay. Since I was a kid, since elementary, I would do plays, you know, elementary school plays. So that always caught my attention, and I wanted to be an actor, but my mom worked so many hours. She didn't know, you know, nothing about casting and none of that stuff. She goes, I don't know who to go talk to. And my favorite movie star at the time was John Travolta. You know, because Grease, you know, the movie
Boogie
Grease,
Nights.
Saturday Night Fever.
Fever,
I remember I made my mom take me to the movie theater one time to go see the movie, Saturday Night Fever when it first came out. She fell asleep, dude. I said, I must have watched that movie like 10 times in a row, dog. And one of those times that my mom wakes up and there's a scene there where they're doing a sex scene there. Esto querías ver? She starts yelling inside the movie theater, and then she fell back asleep, man. And I'm eating popcorn watching that thing. I was like 10 years old, bro. Like, and then Grease came out and all that, so I was like a big fan of that. But you know, my mom goes, she goes, I don't know who to talk to. I don't know nobody in Hollywood. So I just left it at that. You know, it is what it is. And then later on, I got into music. That's when, you know, I got into the hip hop stuff. And so I figured that would be my outlet, you know? Yeah. And then come 2000, and then I did in '92. I did background work for Death Row Records. It was for a Little Ghetto Boy video, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and so but the video never came out till years later. It came out. It was on a DVD and a VHS tape called Death Row. What was that? Death Row Too Gangster for TV, uncensored or uncut, something like that. And they had that video in there. Now you can see it on YouTube. You can Google it, you know. But because it was just, they said it was too violent for the time, you know. It was like a prison movie type video, you know. And so that was my first time like really getting into as an actor, you know. Even though we were doing music at that time, you know, doing background. And then years later, I ended up working on a film called El Padrino with Damien Chapa, Blood In, Blood Out, you know. Yeah. And he directed it and wrote it. Miklo. Yeah, Miklo, yeah. And so I did that background work where I did a prison scene in there. I was on there for like, I don't know, a couple of days. I was supposed to be on there the whole movie. Like, he liked my look. He wanted me to put me in there like I was one of his main bodyguards. Yeah. But in one of the scenes, I ended up spraining my ankle. Because we were doing a prison scene where they say, stand down, and the guards are like, you know, because something going on there, and so all the prisoners have to go lay down on the floor. And in one of those, I turn around and I hit one of those little things that are sticking out on the top of the roof, like the smokestacks, I guess. And I tripped, and so I sprained my ankle. I was able to pull it out the rest of the day. They told me just don't take off your shoe, you know, it's gonna swell up. And so, but Damien wanted to keep me on for the whole 2 weeks. They were filming, you know, that scene, those scenes that were doing the prison scenes. And so that was the only acting experience I had. And then that was in 2002. And then come 2004, I get casted for the movie Idiocracy with Mike Judge.
Classic movie, guys. Yeah.
And I was, you know, and I wasn't even trying to like get into acting, you know. But the thing is that at the time, one of my friends, Sal Rojas, he had a website called brownpride.com at the time. And so it was a website with all Latinos, singers, rappers, you know, just entertainment in there, you know? And so the casting department saw my picture on there. They came across that picture. They were looking for a certain look. And they came across my picture and they asked them, they go, hey, how can we get a hold of this guy, man? We want to, I'm going to come in and read for a Mike Judge film, you know, a new movie that Mike Judge is producing. And then he was all like, well, I can't give out his private info, but if you give me your info, I'll give it to him. You know, I'll relay the message to him. And so he hit me up, and then I was like, nah, I ain't really trying to do that because we had just signed a record deal with Boyle Records. You know, we were getting ready to, because now we transitioned from Browntown Looters into Pueblo Café, and now we got an all Spanish record deal. You know, so now we're getting ready to drop this record. The record we signed to a major label. The label has a bunch of stuff ready for us, promo, tours, and everything ready to go. And I'm like, nah, I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's relying on me because I'm the lead rapper on this thing, you know? And so all my homies, my crew, you know, everybody, the team, everybody's relying on me. So I was like, nah. But they were all supportive of me, like, dude, just go, man. Just, you know, just try it. You know, you never know, you know, what could happen, you know? So I ended up going to the reading, man, and long story short, Mike just saw the video and he thought it was funny. And I read for him a couple weeks later. I read for him, he had me read for a couple of different characters. And then he just told me, hey, it was nice meeting you, man, and we'll keep in touch. And that was it. I didn't think nothing of it, you know. I was like, whatever, I didn't think I was going to get it.
Walk us through how was the casting for it? Like did they make you read a paper? Did you record like a camera?
When they sent me the script, they sent me the whole script. I didn't even read the script. They just told me what I got to memorize. I told them straight out, you know, because like, I'm not going to read that whole script. I told them straight out.
I'm just interested in my part.
I just need to know what you guys want me to read for. So they sent me a separate script with just all the highlighted what they wanted me to read. And I said, all right. So I memorized as much as I could. And I went in there and I just did my thing.
You went in there, you didn't send like a videotape, nada? You just went in there?
I went in there in person. Yeah, because at that time they weren't doing like online videos. Like now, you know, casting is, you know, like, you know, online, you know, like the auditions, self-taping auditions, they call it now, right?
I see that,
And, but at that time, you had to go into the casting.
So you went in there, Mike was there, and then...
The first time Mike wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
It was just the two ladies from Mary Vernew casting. I was the casting department in Venice Beach. And so I went over there, and then I had a couple of my homies with me, and they told me, "Hey, you guys want to read for a couple parts too?" And they were, yeah, so they read for a couple parts too. Yeah, but I went in there and I did my thing. The lady goes, "Well, just read. What we saying, which was highlighted." And the lady read with me a couple of times, and she was even chuckling, and she couldn't, she wasn't, I was just doing. I didn't even know what she was laughing at. I don't know if she was laughing at me because that was my first time auditioning. When I told her that was my first time I've never auditioned before in my life. I've never even read a script in my life, and she was all like tripping out. She was like, "No way." I go, yeah,
you did good.
And then she goes, "Oh, you're a natural." And she went like that, and then she goes, "But wait till Mike just sees it," and then that's when. She called me up a couple days later. She goes, "Hey, Mike just saw the video, and then she goes, "Hey, he thought you were funny. He wants to come in and do a personal reading with you."
Oh, nice.
Goes, so we'll set a date in a couple of weeks. You could come in again. I went in. That's when I met Mike, and we chopped it up. We hit it off, and I read that part, and then he had me read a couple different roles, and then that was it. He goes, "Hey, we'll be in touch, man. It was good meeting you, Anthony." And then we shook hands, and I walked out, and I didn't think nothing of it, dog. And then like 2 months later, I get the call that I got the part.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was getting ready. That's when I was working for LATV. Yeah. And I was getting ready to go to work. I was having lunch across the street from the studio. And then I get the call and I'm eating. And then the lady goes, "Hey, this is so-and-so from the casting department, and hey, we're just calling you to tell you you got the job for the movie." And I'm like, "What movie?" I totally forgot. I even went to read for it. And because my focus was on doing that, and the record, we're about to drop the record, so I wasn't even worried about the acting stuff.
Like, if I get it, I get it.
So it totally slipped my mind. I totally forgot about it. And then she just started telling me, "You're gonna fly out this day. They need you by this day. You need to be in Austin, Texas. You're gonna be over there for a month." She started giving me all these details, and I'm like, "Whoa, man, everything's going too fast," And I go, I told her. I goes, "Any way I can call you back later because I'm getting ready to go to work right now, And it's like, this is just like, I don't even have nothing to write nothing down. "Oh, no, don't worry. I'll email you all the details." You got an email? And I go, "Yeah." So I sent her my email, and then, she sent me all the details and everything. And so I was just like tripping out. It didn't hit me till like a day later, like later on that day, I think it was, like, it hit me like, "Oh, shoot, I'm going to be in a movie."
Yeah. Did you know who you were going to be?
I didn't know. I didn't really know nothing, dude. I was like totally clueless, man.
Did they pay everything for you, like the trip, the hotel?
They took care of everything. I didn't do it. They gave me per diem over there. I didn't even know what per diem was.
You're like, that's how that was. What is this free money for?
No, because that Sunday I was over there. I got there on a Saturday morning. We had a table reading. We had a meeting with the whole cast. We chopped it up. We had lunch together, everything. And then the next day on Sunday, they go, we start shooting on Monday morning at 6 a.m. That was, so just be ready to time. So Sunday, just hang out, relax, chill out, whatever, go out and do the town. They came in the morning, they brought an envelope, and then they had me sign it, but they had me count them. She brought me, it was like $700 cash.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh man, so they're doing like drug deals up in here. That's what I was. I thought that's how we were getting paid. I thought that was my pay. I go, man, they're paying me in advance already. I haven't even worked. I didn't know what per diem was. I go, and I go, and then she goes, we just brought you your per diem. Just count it. She goes, she'll be like $700. It said on the paper $700. I read it. I signed it. So now I got $700 in my pocket, but I'm not doing it. I went back to sleep, man, I was eating for free at the hotel.
Right.
They were taking care of the bill and everything that whole day, Then come Monday, that's when I started working, right? And then now I'm on set. I'm just like tripping on, walking around through the set. I'm like tripping on. Then I look over and I see Terry Crews, and I'm like, hey, that's the dude from Friday, Friday After Next, And then so Mike introduced me, and then I see Sarah Rue, and she was at that time the one that played. I forgot what role she played, the Secretary of Interior. I can't remember what she played in the Idiocracy, but I remember her from the TV show Less Than Perfect or something like that. It was at that time it was on NBC, so she was like a huge TV star at the time, So I recognized her, and I was like, oh. And then I recognized Maya Rudolph, and I was like, oh, damn, man.
You're like, all right.
Yeah. And then I seen Luke Wilson come in, and he comes in all with a hangover, and I'm tripping out on this fool, and it's just like because it was over the weekend, and he lives over there, so and he lives in Texas, and so I'm just like tripping out on all all these actors, you know. I was like, oh damn, you know. So I was
Dax Shepard was there.
then I seen Dax, and I remember Dax from the time I think it was Punk that was blowing up at the time.
Yeah.
On MTV, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just like, oh damn, so this is like a real legit movie here, you know.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, why wouldn't it be? This is Mike Judge, the guy that does Beavis and Butthead, you know. So everything started hitting me at that moment, you know, like, oh snap, you know.
Yeah. Did you get nervous, bro? When
I was nervous, man, 'cause
like,
I didn't really want to go, to be honest. I didn't want to go
Really?
out. Yeah, I got cold feet at the last minute. They had everybody calling me up at the last minute, dog. I didn't want to go. They sent a limo driver to go pick me up,
like,
to take me to the airport. And now, dude, I didn't want to go, dog.
You're like, fuck it, I'll take the
Mike
$700
Judge was
bucks.
calling me. I wasn't even taking his call. Everybody was calling me, dog. I was just, because I felt like, man, I go, man, what if they got the wrong guy? You know, it's like, I don't want, you know, what if, you know, I don't want to make my people look like, you know, like, you know, I don't want to let my people let them down. You know, that's how I felt.
You were getting, you were letting the imposter syndrome to get the best of you.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, and everybody was calling me, all my homies were calling me, you know, hey, bro, you got to go, dog. This is
Stop being a bitch, just go.
Yeah, like, you got to go. My manager at the time, my music manager.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, Anthony, you got to go, man. The label already gave you the green light. They the label had already backed everything up. A month, for me to go, because the record label even understood this was a big opportunity. Yeah, the record label right away, they told me, when I told them, hey, I don't want to really go, because I don't want to let you guys down. I want to let my crew down. You know, like we're getting ready to go on this tour. You know, the record's ready to go. No te preocupes, something in Spanish. No te preocupes. We got everything situated. Yeah. You go and do this movie and come back. We'll figure everything else out. In the meantime, let us figure everything else out. And they backed everything up a month, dog. You know, and
so the movie was shot in a month?
It was actually 2 months. 2 months. Shot it for 2 months, but all my shit was like for a month. It was like a month and a half, I think, total shooting.
So when the movie finished shooting and everything, dude, obviously they did the release date where they do the red carpet, or did they do that for the movie or not?
They did a red carpet in Texas.
Pues ya ves que cuando hacen the movie and then they're going to show it. Yeah. And all the artists, the ones came out. Yeah. Yeah, so they did it in Austin, Texas. Yeah. ¿Y fuiste?
I couldn't go. I couldn't go because I was on tour. Because now I'm on tour with doing the music stuff, you know? And so it was like, well, now, you know, it's like, well, the premiere, I mean, I get it, you know, but at that time, I didn't know how important that was either, because I didn't feel like, well, I'm not one of the main stars, so it's not going to make a difference. You know, the main stars are the ones that got to go, you know? Yeah. I just felt like, and then I'm over here on tour with, you know, doing my stuff with the music, so that was my focus at that point. After that,
did you get to during Sebro? Did you get to chop it up with Terry, with Luke?
No, me and Terry became real good friends during that time where we did the movie, you know, and of course David Herman would. You know, we became good friends, you know, and David Herman does a lot of voiceovers for a lot of the major cartoons that are out there, he's in them. Yeah. Somehow, and he was in like an Office Space, so he's done like a lot of stuff with Mike Judge. And so, I got in real good with both those guys, man, you know, and Luke was cool, you know, Dax was cool, you know, Miles cool, but I hit it off real good with David Herman and Terry.
Terry, that's awesome, dude.
You know, me and Terry used to always clown because, you know, he had that scene with he was if you remember the movie Next Friday, where he's in his boxers and he's touching himself to Tupac, when Tupac's on the video. So I used to clown him with that, and he used to always laugh, and he was like, they got me with that one.
Yeah, that's funny. Then that's why he got out of jail with that.
And, he plays Damien.
Yeah,
he got out of jail.
Funny. And so come give me a hug.
Yeah, come give me a hug. And he grabs him, he gets him in a headlock. So I would always clown with him with that one, and then I would and then we went to go see White Chicks. That's when White Chicks came out. Yeah, and he missed that premiere because we were in Austin for a month, and that premiere for the movie White Chicks, you know, he played a big role in that movie. You know, did. So he was over here in Austin, Texas, with us. The premiere is going on in LA for that. He couldn't go because we were under contract. We couldn't leave. He couldn't leave Austin for the month, you know, because, you know, in case they needed him for whatever, and something happened, and then he jams, and then they need him on set, you know, and it's gonna hold production back, you know, big time, you know. Yeah. So he missed the premiere, and at that time he wasn't big time like the way he is now. You know? So he missed the premiere. So the next best thing he did, he goes, "Hey, well, fuck it, we're gonna have our own premiere over here." So he took me, and it was the last week of we were filming Idiocracy, and I remember I took my son. He went out there for a week with me. The last week he was like 10, 11 years old, and he went out there with us. And Terry goes, hey, I'm taking you guys out tonight for dinner.
Nice.
You know, tonight get ready, man. We're going to go dinner, and then we're gonna go see White Chicks first, and then we'll go have dinner. And then you know, in this new movie I'm in, we saw the trailer. I saw the trailer, but we didn't know it was gonna be a huge movie like that either. You know? It was like, oh, that's dope. Yeah, that's tight. Yeah, let's do it. You know.
Yeah.
And so he took us all out, man. He took me, my son, and two other cast members.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and we went over there. We went to go see White Chicks. We walked in, cool. We saw it, dude. I thought dude, the Wayne brothers are always hilarious. You know? Shout out to the Wayne brothers, man. You know, they're dope. But I think without Terry, I don't think that movie would have been the same.
My favorite scenes, dude, I'm just thinking of it right away. He's driving and he's singing the song.
Dude, we clowned on that after that. The rest of the week, I clowned him for that one. So
and I love you.
Yeah, he was telling me, he goes, Anthony, that was like the whitest song ever, man. It took me like a week for me to memorize that song. He goes, because he had to do it. He did those like in one taker. Yeah, there wasn't like no cuts really.
Oh, man, that was hilarious.
He goes, I had to memorize that whole all that dialogue. Yeah. So when we went in the theater, when we came out, dude, everybody recognized him. Yeah, so it took us a while to get out of there, man, because everybody was trying to take pictures with them and get an autograph, man.
You still keep in touch with them?
Oh, yeah, all the time,
awesome,
man.
Dude.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Chop it up here and there.
Hell yeah, dude.
He's the one that put me on to like intermittent fasting and working out.
Oh, okay.
Because I was big, at that time. When we were doing Idiocracy, I was like maybe like 350 pounds, dog. I was like maybe going on 400 pounds.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So later on, he's the one that put me on to like intermittent fasting and working out, doing certain workouts, you know.
You mentioned earlier that like during your casting, you hit it off with Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also put music, some of the Boyle Café stuff in there.
Yeah.
We got 2 songs in Idiocracy because of him. You know, one day during lunch, he came over to my table, you know, and we started kicking and chopping it up. And he goes, hey, man, I know you do music, man. I really want to hear somebody like your latest shit. I hear you guys about to drop a new record. I go, yeah, man. I go, I'll get you some CDs, man. He goes, let me talk to the label. Nice. And I talked to the label, man. They overnighted them the CDs. The next morning they were in this trailer, dog. And so he handed them out to production. You know, we gave him like 5 CDs. He kept like 2 for himself. Yeah. And he handed the other 3 out to production. And then a couple of days later, he goes, hey, man, he heard the whole album. He goes, hey, I really like this record, man. He goes, there's like 2 songs that are really standing out to me. I want to put them in the movie.
Ooh, nice.
And I go, yeah, just talk to my manager, man, and, you know, and make it happen with the label and all. You know, don't make it happen. And yeah, they worked out a deal, man, and we got 2 songs on there, man.
That's awesome. Do you know what's crazy that I'm thinking right now? I'm like, I feel blessed right now because, you know, I saw that movie, dude, with my friends, and we were a little bit under the influence of some green Herbalife cigarettes, you know what I mean? And then now I'm here sitting, dude, with you, bro. You know, the Secretary of the State. Defense, yeah.
That's they got the big guy because so it matches with the defense.
Yeah, and it's just like, ahora estamos aquí, you know, platicando. It's like, it's a blessing, bro. So, I mean, obviously you're still working with Mike, and a new project, which we'll get into it, bro. But how did you roll Manolo on the Lopez Kid together, dude?
On that show, kind of came through the same connections through Mike's people.
Yeah. So yeah, Mike
has a circle of people that he works with, and you know, of course, you know everybody. You know, Hollywood. At the end of the day, man, Hollywood's a big industry, but it's a small circle. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like everybody knows everybody. You know, and so the writers for Lopez and executive producers John Ausler and Dave Krinsky, they've worked on Idiocracy as well.
Oh, okay.
So they were part of that. And so for years, they brought me into like Silicon. I did an episode on Silicon Valley on HBO. So I was, so over the years, they put me in like little stuff here and there. But for the longest, Dave and John would always tell me, especially John Osler, he would always say, hey, we're working on something for you, man. We got something special in the works. Because we can't tell you much, but we got something. All right, cool. So every time I would see them, they would tell me that. I was just like, cool, man. Whenever, I was never like pestering them or hitting them. Hey, what's up with that project? What's going on? It's just if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Whenever it's meant to happen, it will happen. So then, that's always been my mentality, though. I don't like to bother people like that too much. And I just let it be. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. And yeah, one day, a couple years later, they just hit me out of nowhere. I got my agent at the time. She hit me up. She goes, "Hey, I got an email from some people that they said they're doing a pilot for George Lopez, a new pilot for a new show would you be interested? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll be interested, you know? And it's crazy because 6 months prior to that, I was depressed. I remember I was sitting in my living room one day and I was just like really depressed because nothing was really happening. Nothing was clicking.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there all depressed and I was watching the George Lopez show, the original one.
Yeah, the very first one that came out.
One, you know? And I was watching it and I was like, man, that'd be really cool, man, to work with this dude one day, man.
Yeah.
Like, how cool would that be, dude? Yeah. And 6 months later, I get that email, dog, you know, from my agent.
Yeah.
And then at first it was just my agent thought it was just like a little there was just a little small part to come in like little cameo type of thing, you know. And then when she read it good, she goes, "Oh no, they want you for a co-star role."
Nice.
And I was like, "Oh, damn, even better."
Yeah.
But I was just happy to just whatever role they gave me, you know, like a walk-on role. You know, I didn't really care. So then they hit us up with, you know, they said this day we're gonna shoot the pilot, and boom, you know, it's gonna be a 2-day shoot, whatever, you know, for the pilot. We shot it and it was like a 15-minute presentation, and then the TV Land saw it, and TV Land liked it, but in the beginning. It was funny because even before we shot the pilot, TV Land really didn't want me. They were like, nah, you know, it's like he doesn't have no experience, you know, it's like, let's get somebody that's had experience, you know. And so they were trying to go with another guy, you know. And but the writers kept saying, if you want us on board, because they brought them in as writers because and executives, they knew these fools could make some shit happen. So they go as the writers and you know, if you want us on board, you gotta let Citric play this role. This is all him. We wrote this for him. He's my Manolo. That's it. You know, so he kept vouching at that. So they said, all right, let's shoot the pilot. They shot the pilot. They wanted to see what the chemistry was like, me and George. Automatically they knew, you know, but they go, well, let's do a screen test, you know. So they did 2 screen tests and I tested very well. The first one, he said, you tested good, but they were still like, it was kind of confusing a little bit. It was
they were not convinced.
Yeah, and then they did a second one, and then you tested even higher. So he goes, so right away they knew, okay, that's our Manolo right there. You know? They couldn't deny it at that point, you know.
How was it working with George Lopez, dude?
It was dope, man. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot from him, you know. I learned a lot, you know, the timing and a lot of stuff, you know.
Did he give you any pointers or anything?
No, he taught me a lot of stuff, you know, especially when it came to like improv stuff. The first season, you know, because we shot 2 seasons of it, you know, which is you know, the show's called Lopez, and it's on it was on TV Land, you know, and now I think it's on Amazon Prime. I think, you know, you can buy it or rent it or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? It was my first time doing television like that, you know. So the first season, he taught me a lot. You know, he taught me how to, you know, like when you know certain things like to stand in certain spots and you know, and certain, you know, like we did like we would do like some takes with just the written takes that were already like what we knew practiced, and then he started like little by little he started coaching me into doing like improv takes. You know, he goes, hey, at this time I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna do that, and they just come in with this, you know, whatever feels natural, and then you know, and then he would always tell me, you know, like certain key things not to say and what to say, you know, like so you keep the improv going or whatever, you know, and when it's the end of the scene. Don't write over my tag or whatever, you know, like you know, like, and so I remember the first time when he started doing that, I looked at him with a blank look because I was just lost. I was just like, fuck. And then he looked at me, he goes, never mind, you'll pick up on it. I goes, I'll take it a little bit slower, man. And so little by little, like, you know what I'm saying? So by the end of the season of season 1, like I already knew his rhythm. I knew how, you know what I'm saying? So because we would clown around off camera, when we'd be sitting down in between takes, we'd be clowning around, you know, and like, and so we would learn like stuff like that, you know, like I started learning a lot of shit from him, how he works, how his rhythm works, his timing, you know. So I picked up on a lot of that stuff, you know.
But and so for the second season, it was easy.
So by second season, we were just breezing through and a lot of the improv stuff is what they kept. You know, a lot of the improv stuff, you know. So George rewrote a lot of the stuff, man, at the last minute, you know, and they would keep that.
So going back to, I know, I forgot to ask you about the Silicon Valley show. Ayer we were here eating, and they showed me a clip. I was like, dude, I can't believe I missed that show. I didn't even know, dude. But man, if you guys want to check it out, dude, Silicon Valley, it's out in, I think it's out on Amazon también.
It might be on Amazon.
And Hulu, dude. Yeah. Check it out, dude. I mean, that scene was so hilarious. Man, también esa role, dude. Like, how did you land that one?
Same thing through Mike Judge.
Mike
Judge directed that episode.
Yeah.
You know, he directed, it was him and the other guys that the writers.
The writers,
Lopez, and the executive producer for Lopez. They were writers on Silicon Valley too.
Nice, dude.
So that's when they brought me in as Chewy, the graffiti artist. Trying to do a logo for these guys.
That was a pretty badass logo. Dude. You guys gotta see that episode.
When you see that logo, you're like, whoa.
Your son was showing us yesterday, and I was started laughing. And I was like, cool, dude. But no, that's amazing. So Mike Judge has been a big part of your career, dude. That's awesome, dude. And obviously, we'll get into through that right now. Pero también te quiero preguntar that Harsh Times, dude. Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies because it shows a lot of the PTSD of a soldier, you know, being in war a lot of time. And it's a crazy story, too.
It's pretty intense.
It's crazy story how he got out and then obviously hit up his homies, unemployment. Yeah. They go to job searching, but they get through so much trouble, you know. Yeah. También, talk to us about that role that you got on that one. Was it también through Mike or?
That was just on my own.
Yeah.
But basically, okay, so the casting company Mary Renew that did Idiocracy, they called me in for that movie too. Because I didn't have no representation at that time. I had nobody. I mean, I had a music manager.
Yeah.
But that was about it, you know. But that fool didn't know how to, you know, navigate through the film stuff. You know?
Yeah.
And but the thing is that I've been lucky enough to where they've been fair with me, you know, like Mike Judge was fair from the jump, you know. They gave me, you know, like they took care of me, make sure I was well taken care of, you know, from the jump. So I've always been blessed with that, you know, where you know, they look out, you know. Yeah. And so the people from the casting for that did Idiocracy was Mary Renew Casting. They called me in for that. And they go, hey, would you be interested for this other movie from David Ayer, you know, that guy that did Training Day and did Fast and the Furious. And then I was like, yeah, I'm down. You know, so Harsh Times was my second movie. So I did Idiocracy in 2004, 2005. I'm back in the casting office doing now casting for Harsh Times as the role of Casper. And so I went in there, and this time the director was in there, which was David Ayer, and the writer. This was his baby, you know. He had did Training Day, you know, but Training Day was obviously a big studio movie, you know. So now this one, he's doing it on his own. He's putting up his own money. He's not even getting funding from nobody. This is all him, you know. So this is his baby. He's directing it and writing it. And so he's sitting there. I walk in the casting room, and he's sitting there, with his other guy that later became one of my good homies. His name is Paul, and they call him Sparky. And he was sitting in there because he was an associate producer. He was helping him, you know, with a lot of the production side, you know. And they're both sitting there, and then the lady from Mary Renew over here on this side. And I, you know, introduced myself, whatever, and we walked in and I sat down, and then they gave me. But I already knew the
lines.
I already knew the script, my parts that I was supposed to read, because they had already sent it to me like a week before that. So I went in there and I already had it memorized. So I went in there and I read with the director, with David, and we did the reading. And then I remember him looking over to his partner, was my boy Paul, Sparky. And then they whispered to each other some whatever, and then he turned over and he looked at me and he goes, hey, if you want the job, it's yours, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I said, yeah, I want the job in. So right there, I walked out of there, dude. And then a couple weeks later, I was on set filming.
Nice. Yeah. Dude, that scene right there, bro. we get shot, dude. How many times did you went over that? It was just like a one-time hit?
It was a long, all I can say, dude, we shot that in 2 days. Because David wanted to make sure to get the right scene, because that's all, you know, like he wanted, you know, like he didn't, it was supposed to be a one-day shoot. But like I said, we shot it Friday and Saturday. They ended up they brought us back for a second day. They go, you know what? He wasn't happy with the first day. He wanted this thing to look so real, you know, like as real as possible, you know. So he goes, I'm bringing these guys in for another day. So I got paid for another day, you know. So they brought us in, but we shot all night. It was all nighter, man, And we shot that scene so many different ways, you know. It's like they put something like a squid, I think they call it, where it just blows up right here.
I know, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, you know, this is your first time, you know, getting shot on the movie scene. You know, it's like, how was it?
They rigged me up with something in like a red dye pack inside with a squid. It just blows up. Then we did a couple different takes where a guy with a paintball gun with a rifle was standing behind the camera guy, so the camera's facing me like that. And then boom, man, and they shoot that. So at that time when I react, you know, boom, you know, I have to react because it pulls out the gun when you go back and you see that scene, and I have to react. And then they have they put a mattress on the floor, like one of those mats, it's like a fall down. And then they have like a little harness. They pull behind me, so they pull the harness. So because this fool, you know, he blasts at a close range. So it throws me back. And then they did the same thing because Noel G's Noel G was also in training there, you know. And then they put a harness on him. So when Christian Bale turns around to shoot Noel, you know, they put a harness on. He got it the worst because he had to pull that harness and he flies back in the air and falls right on the mattress, you know, in the back. But mine wasn't too bad, you know. But it was some work because I was heavy. If you look at the thing, man, I gave that audio engineer guy a lot of work, man, because they had to cut. I was heavy breathing after the first couple of takes. I was just like, they had like some heavy. You could catch it, but it was even worse, man. When I first heard the original take. And then David goes, no, don't worry, we can fix that. You know, we'll cut out the breathing.
Was that your first time meeting Christian Bale, or
No, it was my first time meeting Christian.
Yeah. How was it? The interaction with him, dude? Man,
it was dope, you know, because you know he had just got off of doing Batman Begins, you know. So the first one, And then, you know, I knew him from American Psycho, you know, and stuff like that. So
classic.
So when I saw him, I was just like tripped out. But he was just like super quiet. And he was hanging out with us, but he wasn't saying nothing. He was just studying us.
Damn.
Yeah, he did that with Noel for like a week, 2 weeks. So basically, he would study all of us, our lingo, our postures, the way we talk, so he could bring that to the screen because his role was that he grew up around nothing but raza. You know, he's a white dude growing up with raza. And so, and then a lot of these stories are like David Ayer stories because they're like true stories from during the Rampart district scandals, all those stuff that went down. That's what the training day. That's why they always trip out like how does this white boy know so much? But because he grew up around raza, you know. And I think he's half Latino. And I think, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know, dude,
but he grew up. He was like the only white boy grew up in that area, in downtown area. So he knows a lot of the stories. You know, he grew up. He was firsthand. So he brought a lot of that to the screen, you know. So that's why those stories are so intense because they're all like real stories, man.
Dude, man, Christian Bale, my opinion, he's one of the good.
Yeah, no, he's mad to me.
And then now you're sharing that he thought he was just quiet. Imagine just being there, like, why is it quiet? But now you're like, dude, he was.
But I knew what he was doing.
Oh, okay,
I knew he was studying us, man. You know, because they told us to kind of like, you know, just let him do his thing because my son wanted to get an autograph. Because my son was all starstruck because he goes, "Hey, it's Batman." And they told him, we'll see how by the end of the day how he is because he's in character.
Oh, so he was in character.
Yeah, so they didn't want him just to, you know, because I was going to try to get an autograph from my son, but they were like, nah, he's in character right now, so we can't really like.
Did he end up doing it though?
Nah, because we never got to see him after that.
Don't worry, bro. We'll see him again.
But one day, hopefully, my son wanted to get an autograph, but everybody's like, nah, he's in character right now. Right now's not the time.
Do the Batman with Heath Ledger, dude.
Oh, dude, that was like my all-time favorite Batman.
That was like the best duo ever, dude. I was like, both characters, dude. I'm like,
They killed it, man.
They killed it, dude. Yeah, dude. Man, that was
my all-time favorite Batman movie.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, for me, my opinion, dude, besides OG, Triple G Batman, first Batman actor, ¿cómo se llama su nombre?
Michael Keaton.
Sí. Él y Christian Bale, like my two Batman guys. Ya cuando trajeron a George Clooney.
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, se pasaron de lanza.
I mean, they did cool, but it was like one of those things like either they did a good Batman or they did a good Bruce Wayne. They didn't do both good.
Yeah, está como Spider-Man, bro.
In the Christian Bale trilogy of Batman, he played Bruce Wayne and Batman to the T.
Yeah.
That's what Batman was supposed to be.
It's kind of like Spider-Man, dude. When the first Spider-Man with, is it Tommy Maguire, or am I saying his wrong name? The very first Toby, yeah.
Toby, right?
Ese dude when salió en Spider-Man, dude, I fell in love with that movie, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Luego ya salieron otra y otra.
It wasn't the same.
They ruined it for me, dude.
But Michael Keaton, I agree with you. Michael Keaton and Christian Bale played the best.
Yeah. So obviously you have this relationship with the writers and with Mike, and King of the Hill is back. Yeah. I just found out it's back, bro, to be honest with you. I used to watch it when I was a kid, dude, or growing up, and I loved it because se me hacía bien chill, dude, you know? Yeah. And it was kind of like different type of humor, you know what I mean? And it's just like, now it's like, dude, me dice Luis, yeah, dude, he's a voiceover of King of the Hill. I'm like, dude, that show's back already? He's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, where I been? You know what I mean? So I tuned in and started watching it. I see a character. I was like, dude, that's what's up, you know?
Yeah, man, yeah.
They bring, you know,
I was surprised too when I saw the character, man.
Yeah, pues ¿sabes cuenta que eres tú, bro?
Yeah. I was looking at it when I first saw it. I was like tripped out. I was like,
you're like, that's me in a cartoon.
I was kind of blown away. I was like, oh shoot, you know, like I didn't expect that.
¿Cómo te dijo Mike? Hey, bro, you know, we're gonna bring this back.
Well, they reached out to my management company, you know. Well, right now, recently, you know, to Wendy.
Yeah.
They reached out. They sent her an email.
La patrona.
Yeah, La Patrona, yeah, with Speedy. With Speedy Pineda. They reached out to her, yeah, and then she told me, she goes, hey, they're bringing back King of the Hill. So they want you on as one of the characters, you know, so right away, yeah, we hopped on this, Mike, you know, we're not going to say no, you know, Mike Judge, man, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we jumped on him right away, but I did have to do sort of a little audition, you know, I had to do like a reel.
Yeah.
Just, you know, like they wanted to hear in Spanish how good my Spanish was as well, because there was going to be some scenes where I was going to do Spanish little words here and there. And yeah, they wanted to know if I could, you know, like be able to, you know, do the role, you know, just for casting purposes, you know? Just to, but Mike already knew. He goes, this character is for sure, that's you. Because he said right away, he goes, when the character came about, I thought about you.
I know somebody right
Anthony,
away.
Yeah, Anthony will be great for this role right here, you know. And so that's how that came about, man. And
how do you like it, dude? Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was great, man. You know, it's still kind of surreal, you know, to see myself as a cartoon, you know.
Yeah, because te parece igualitito al cartoon, bro.
Because I did do a voiceover for King of the Hill. In the early seasons, but for one episode. But I didn't have the character I didn't have a name.
Oh, okay.
It was because I was playing basically Enrique, which is played by Danny Trejo in the original series, and I just played Enrique's brother-in-law. So I had a quick little scene there, you know, and so I had already did you know, King of the Hill. I had a little experience with that, but now I'm part of the cast, you know. Like now I have a recurring role, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Like, sí lo miré tu character. I was like, dude, se parece bien harta.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I was tripped out myself, though. I was like, oh snap.
So okay, obviously, you know, you had a career, dude. You had a journey, and then right now, like you said, dude, just seeing the cartoons is like so surreal, dude. Like, I'm sure at that point you're like, dude, I'm proud of what I've done so far. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I've accomplished, maybe for like, not like I see all crazy, but, you know, I've done a lot, and it's like, dude, you know, I'm sure you feel proud of the year at that moment, seeing that character, seeing yourself and that character and playing that voice of Emilio, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where, yeah, you know, like I try not to like dwell too much on it, but I do look back on the past, you know, and like, man, you know, like everything I had to go through led me to where I'm at right now. I had to go through all that to get to this, you know, and you know, like I did a lot of stuff, you know, short films, and you know, a lot of, you know, like I was doing a lot of when I really wanted to get more into acting and start doing a lot of free stuff, man. You know, just college films and I could just get in there,
just to get in there, repetition,
learning the process behind it in front of the camera, you know? And so I look back at all that, and you know, and yeah, there's times where I get frustrated for certain things, you know, and I feel like I'm still not there, you know. I still feel like we still have a lot to accomplish, you know. There's still a lot of road left ahead, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm just still looking at the bigger picture, you know. That always, you know, like, and I try not to think too much, you know, like. But then sometimes, I think about like, man, you know, we have come a long way, man, you know.
Yeah, you have, dude. I mean, just listening to your story, bro, it's like, whoa, you know. And then, you know, believe it or not, sometimes we think like, oh, so they probably forgot about me after this big project, but pasa un año, 2 or 3 years, dude, and then boom, we get, thanks to them, they reach out, they're like, hey, dude, we got this role. Just like the writers were telling you, we have this role for you, just wait, and then boom. But how do you stay grounded, dude? Like, how do you manage to stay grounded in this industry that is always changing, is always evolving,
Yeah, I mean, a big part of that is the circle of people you hang out with, your friends, your close people, because, I mean, shoot, man, I see a lot of cats, though, and a lot of cats that I know, man, you know what I'm saying, that are out there right now, that are blowing up and doing things, se les sube, they get big-headed, bro, and it's crazy to see that because you see them at one point when they're humble, and then all of a sudden they start, getting a little famous, a little money, and you just start seeing the transition. And I mean, to each his own, but I see, the circle that they hang out with a lot of times, and a lot of it has to do with that, man. They overfill their egos with a bunch of garbage, dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, and I have a saying that I always say, man, give people a little bit of money, a little bit of fame, and you're gonna see their true colors.
You see, bro? I agree with you. True colors, What got you into comedy, dude?
And then I started doing stand-up,
What got you into
that? Phil Medina.
Shout out to Phil Medina.
Yeah, shout out to Phil Medina.
You're invited on the podcast.
No, we got to get him out here, man. I'm sure he'll come out here, man, because he's originally from Madera, And he comes out here, does a lot of shows. He's all over the country doing shows. But,
so he's the one that say, hey, dude.
So he's the one that started giving me stage time. He started putting me on. He goes, bro, have you ever thought about doing stand-up? And I go, nah. I love stand-up comedy. I've always been a big fan of Red Fox and, Eddie Murphy and, and Ralphie May and all these greats, all these big-time comedians, man. And Ronnie Dangerfield was one of my favorites, But I never saw myself doing stand-up. I never pictured myself on stage doing stand-up. And then he's the one that just started throwing me up. That, when he would go out on the road or whatever, he started taking me out. Well, around the time after I started doing Lopez. I remember, it was around that time. I remember we had just finished doing Lopez. I had nothing to do. I was, I had no work lined up at the time, And financially, I was cool, so I wasn't like worried about it, So I was like tripping. So then he goes, "Hey man, we're going out on the road, me and my boy Monsky," and that's how I met Phil, through my other homie Monsky. He had a podcast and called Not Your Average Radio. So I started hanging out with him. I did a couple interviews with him, and then he started going out on the road with Phil, and so he was just telling me, he introduced me to Phil, and we hit it off cool. And then one day he goes, "Hey man, we're going out on the road. We're going out to the Midwest. We're gonna do Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. We're on the road. We're gonna be gone for a couple of weeks." And then I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I'm down. So we went out and we started doing, going out, just hitting the road, and he just started bringing me up on stage. Was it out of nowhere?
Was it an easy transition for you to from being a actor and then doing these roles to transition to comedy? Was it easy for you, or
I mean, it kind of,
or was it something natural for you, bro?
It's still difficult, but it kind of came natural at the same time. Yeah. And that's what Phil saw too. Phil goes, "You're a natural fool. Just go out and just do what you, man. Just talk to the crowd, man." Because they should be like, "Dude, I don't have no material. What do I tell them?"
That's what they decir. Did you have material?
Just talk to these motherfuckers. Just talk. I have no material. He goes, "Just talk to these fools, dude."
You started talking about your breakdancing days.
Just like whatever story would come up, and, I'd be out there for like a minute, 2 minutes, and people would laugh, And
that's awesome.
But he would bring me up as special guest, and the time he goes, "Hey man, from the movie Idiocracy," and then Lopez, Lopez was, pretty popular at the time, It was already, we had the 2 seasons out, So he bring me out. So the majority of people knew who I was, and I come out as a special guest and talk to them for a little bit. Yeah. But he was always right there next to me. Okay. And then we would go back and forth, like clowning around. So it was cool. But then until one day he just threw me out there by myself. He goes, "Yeah, you're going out there for like 10 minutes, bro, by yourself, man." I was like, "Bro," he goes, "Just do it, man." He goes, "You could do it, man. I know, I believe in you." So. But he gave me some time to prepare. But I didn't really prepare as much as I should have. Yeah. But I kind of had a skeleton of what I wanted to talk about this time at least. And so my first official comedy show was about 6 years ago in Ventura. It was Ventura. It was called the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, the city of Ventura, right on the on the boats. Llegan ahí, parquean los boats. But it was a little restaurant right there, and it was a comedy club. And so that was my first official show I did. It was him and homie Monsky were producing a thing called Not Your Average Comedy. Not Your Average Comedy. That's what it was called. And so he gave me I think it was gave me 5 or 10 minutes, you know. I think it was 5 minutes actually. And I went out there and I didn't know what to do, dog. But so I went out there and I had the scouting part, and so I just started, you know, kind of going over what I kind of thought, you know, what I wanted to talk about. And just stuff just started kind of clicking, you know. Some things were hitting hard, some things weren't hitting at all. Yeah. But the people were with it, you know. Yeah. And so that's when I knew. I go, man, I could probably do this, man, for sure. You know, I'm gonna just go all out. And when I decided to go all out, and then the pandemic hits. That's when they started shutting all the clubs. And so I, you know, for once they start opening up the clubs, you know, I promised myself, you know, that I was really gonna give it my all and just go out there and really learn the craft. I told Phil, you know, I'm really gonna take this shit serious. I'm gonna learn the craft. You know, I don't want to make a mockery out of it. You know what I'm saying? I respect the craft. You know. And that's what he saw, that I respected the craft like that. So he started giving me a lot of stage time and started helping me tag up certain jokes. You know, I had ideas for certain things. And he goes, try this, try that, and then little by little, I would try stuff like that, and then little by little, just making my own, you know, because then I started learning the structure of that. And it went back down to when I was learning how to write, how to write bars, you know. And so I kind of used that style into writing comedy, and I learned the structure of it, and then I just started kind of doing my own thing. And even though it's still difficult, but it comes, you know, it's just one of those things where, we'd be driving around with my son and my boy Adrian, you know, and ideas come to hand, you know, and then I just start saying random stuff, and then they right away, that's funny, you know, these fools are laughing at me, and then we write it down, you know. Or I tell my son, hey, write it down, you know. He goes, dude, I'm driving.
That's awesome, dude. One of the things that you shared with us yesterday was that you like to give back to the community, you like to help out the youth and stuff like that. You know, and you did a giveaway yesterday. You handed out this headsets. You know, you give them away to the school and so that. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. You know, did you ever thought yourself that you were always gonna be a giver?
You know what? I never thought about it. You know, but I've always, you know, whatever we can, you know, when we could give, we give. You know, that's one thing I've always learned. You know, since a kid with my mom and family. You know, and just so, but at the same time, as I've always, as I gotten older, I see how important it is, because there was a time, you know what I'm saying, when I think about it, if I was in school, you know, and somebody came and brought stuff like that, or there was a couple of times where I got to meet celebrities when they came to the school and left a big impact, you know. So now when people ask me if I could do stuff like that, it goes, you know, as long as I could do, if time permits, or you know, I could, you know, we make it work. Yeah, I'm down to make it work somehow, you know, and pull up, you know, like I've done like youth authorities and stuff like that, you know, go talk to the kids, you know, and try to, you know, give some kind of a hope, inspiration, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome that you do that, dude. You know, I appreciate it, bro, because not too many people do that, you know what I mean?
Man.
And it says a lot about your character too, and what you're willing to do, you know, and that's awesome. You know, when you told me, dude, I was like, dude, that's badass, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
I'm sure those kids in Chole, they were really grateful. I remember you were saying that at first they were all quiet, and then at the end they're like, hey, let me have your autograph, you know?
Yeah, they were super polite, super quiet, you know, and really shy, you know. But once, you know, after at the end, you know, we you know, everybody was cool. It was, you know, let's get autograph pictures. And the kids were super cool, man. They was like, you know, it was a lot of fun, man. You know, at first I was like, well, you know, it's like I haven't done it in a while, but you know, just go in there, and talk to them, man, you know, and we just so I just, you know, try to connect with them as much as I could, you know, because I have 2 grandkids, you know, 10 and 8, so I just looked at it like, well, the way I try to connect with my grandkids, you know, I gotta connect with these kids.
Yeah, suppose you want to let them know, like, hey, dude, there's always a positive in this world. What's next for you, dude? What's next? Do you have any projects coming up or anything?
Right now, just, you know, focus is King of the Hill right now. You know, we got a couple more seasons out of it, you know, so that's the focus right now. But at the same time, you know, I've been talking with my management, and, you know, with Wendy, and, you know, and we're talking about, you know, trying to do a series of movies. Yeah. You know, see where they go, you know, where you know, where they go straight to the streaming platform, or we get them, you know, I don't know, whatever comes, you know, like, but we do want to work on a series of movies, like, you know, big Citric movies, you know.
Nice.
You know, and be able to employ, you know, people and bring all my people that I know, that I've been wanting to bring in and work with, and you know what I'm saying, and just build a little foundation off.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, dude. Obviously, the name of my podcast is Live Life Podcast, dude. What does live life mean to you?
To me, I would say live life. It's just basically try to live your life as best as possible, to the best you can, and make a positive impact while you're here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because once you're gone, and that's it, and nobody knows, life is too short, time is limited here, we're only passing through this earth. Yeah. So I look at it like you got to live your life and live it the best you can, and make it, make it count.
Yeah. No, I always ask that, dude, because I want my audience to hear a different perspective all the time, And one of the things that I always ask my audience, dude, before we close it out is, if you could go back in time and talk to young Anthony, what would you say to him?
Stay away from girls that wear too much makeup and crazy wigs.
I love it, dude. I love it. Oh, man. Well, you know what,
Stay away
bro?
from crazy women, period.
That's the best one ever, dude. I love it, dude. Oh, man, bro. From the bottom of my heart, again, I thank you for being here today, sharing your journey, dude.
It was a pleasure.
And what is the one thing that you hope that people will take away from this journey that you just shared right now with us?
That no matter what you're going through in life, never give up.
Nice.
Never give up, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And keep it consistent and just keep doing your thing, man. And don't worry about what anybody else thinks of you, or if you love what you're doing and you feel you feel it in your heart, this is what you want to do and this is where you're at. Yeah. Keep doing you, man, and just keep it consistent. That's
nice. Nah, that's awesome,
never
dude.
Give up.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna end that at that note. Again, dude, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. We're gonna end it because we have the food already has arrived.
Yeah, don't
Yeah. So with that said, dude, it was a pleasure to have you here. It was a pleasure to mingle with you, get to know you more last night, And dude, let's enjoy some delicious mariscos, bro.
Yeah, no, man. Anytime you guys need me up here, I'll come up.
Nah, thank you. Appreciate it, dude. Nah, thank you for appreciating my heart. And that's it for today, guys. We're out.
Live life, it's your time right now. This is the moment you've been waiting for, so say it loud. I love my life.